What is up, theology nerds? This is Trip, and this is a special little teaser episode of the Theology Nerd Podcast.
A little treat for you.
Yeah. This is it's really a teaser, a taste, you could say. It is the opening 15 minutes of the class we just started, Questions for the Believing Skeptic. This class is me, Barry Taylor, and it's built around a series of questions. And not just for anybody.
Questions for everyone.
No, not everybody, just the believing skeptic. So
everyone who's a believing skeptic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have to say a whole lot more about that because that's kind of what we're going to talk about in the thing you're about to hear.
Yeah.
But I did want to tell you something. This class, you can join right now, and you'll get the audio from and the videos, and you'll be a part of the secret Facebook group where we discuss it. And then we're going to be using the class, the interaction and things, to then make some short videos at the end that everyone that took the class then can use to facilitate discussion and stuff, and in their own kind of ministry setting, conversational communities.
So it's a great way to, you go through the class and then you get the tools to teach the class.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
And you'll be able to tell us, like, look, fellas, this part works really well. This other thing, I'm not exactly sure. You have to clean that up. And Trip, you do realize you talk twice as loud as Barry.
Well, it doesn't help that he's still sort of got some sort of.
Oh, they're about to hear it.
Yeah.
And he's sick.
A smoky voice or something. He said.
He's working on like a
Barry White
cover album. So here's the thing: you can go to the website. You can join the class. Go to homebrewedchristianity.com. You can join the class just like a normal class. Just join it up, or you can take the plunge, take the leap, and become an elder of Homebrewed Christianity.
That's right. And by doing that, you essentially get the class for half off for this month.
I know. I didn't put all this together until you said it. And then I said, oh. So if you just join the class, you get the videos and the audio and they interact with the group and then the curriculum and stuff after it. And you're like, zippity-doo-dah, I just got myself a class. And you get all that. It's just $50. But then if you become a member of the Homebrewed community as an elder or a bishop, there are different levels, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Then you become an elder. That's just $25. $25 a month, and then you're going to get in the class. You'll get a little email. Nathan will say, like, "You want to join the class?" "Oh yeah, I want to join the class." Then it's only $25 a month.
Plus, you get access to all the other classes and everything as an elder or a bishop at that level for the rest of the year, and previous ones we've done.
Oh yeah. So basically, what we're saying is, listen to this. If you're half interested, you should clearly become an elder, because then you can join the class and you can go in the secret Facebook group for all of the members and download all the old stuff. And hopefully you won't get done and say, I'm just a cheapskate, I'm getting out of here. You'll at least stay around for a second month, get to meet all the other members online, interact, and you get to have more input and everything on the podcast. So yeah, that's the lure. The lure right there.
That's a good lure.
So maybe the other thing I was going to say is this class that Barry and I are doing came out of our church and culture class at the Hatchery here in Redondo Beach, California. Nathan was in the class.
I was.
So if you were in this class, like, what topics would you want people to steer us to, just so Barry and I can argue about them?
Oh man, I don't know.
That was my favorite part of that seminar. I just felt if y'all didn't have anything to say as students, Barry and I are ready to go. 3.5 hours every week. We're just.
I mean, I think it'd be really interesting to hear you guys talk about the ways in which sort of the resurgence of atheism in today, like the Richard Dawkins type and that sort of thing, is really a religious phenomenon, and it's directly connected to the religious trajectory that Charles Taylor outlined in the book. I think that's a really interesting thing that you guys could get some good jabs in there. I mean,
the real question is whether or not Barry will cooperate with discussing Michael W. Smith. during this class. And Barry is probably not going to listen to this teaser for our class. So, if you're in it, know that 1 week during this, I presented a secular age inspired theological reading of Michael W. Smith's most famous piano ballad, kind of the late 80s, early 90s, with just high quality noise on that electric piano. Mm-hmm. His song "Place in This World," if you've never listened to this song, you should clearly go on YouTube, because the music video makes it way more worth it, and listen to "Place in This World." In fact, I think if you watch that video and say to yourself, those questions don't resonate with me, like, am I looking for a reason? Roaming through the night to find my place in this world? My place in this world? Like, when those lyrics are so striking, you're like, I need to ask questions like this. Questions for the Believing Skeptic on the internet.
I need to wear acid wash jeans.
Oh, acid wash jeans, that's a game changer. You can't tell me that a man in baggy acid wash jeans in a desert playing piano with a large amount
I just want to point out,
fluffed hair.
There was someone, more than likely multiple people, who put that piano in the desert.
Yeah.
And I really feel bad for them. I've moved pianos before, and I can't imagine having to do that in the desert.
I got money that piano was empty. It was just, he wasn't, they were...
Yeah, still, though.
It was just a big piece of wood.
Yeah.
They probably...
Who wants to do that?
Somebody did it for that video.
Like, I bet the person who was doing that was asking, what am I doing with my life?
Art. You suffer for art, Nathan. And anyway, so you're going to hear a little teaser. Then you go to homebrewedchristianity.com, click the join the community button, be an elder. You'll get in. You'll get this week's stuff, all the next week's, and all the past things. You can just join, have tons of fun. And, it's our hope that by the end of the month, when you're done with the class, meet the people online, that you stay and hang out. Because, it's the community members that keep everything at Homebrew Christianity going. It's how we're able to have the time and energy and to do all of it. So, if you're looking for a reason and roaming through the night of the internet to find a place in this world, there's a place in the Homebrew Christianity community for you. So with all eyes closed and heads bowed, you can't close your eyes because you have to go online to do this. But, metaphorically, with your eyes closed and your head bowed, you can head to homebrewedchristianity.com.
Enjoy the teaser.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Well, hello, everybody. Barry and I are here, ready to simultaneously occupy.
Indeed. And I'm going to be with a smoky voice.
Well,
I know. Steel yourself.
Not safe for work voice.
Exactly.
But yeah,
I'm in the process of recording a Barry White cover album.
in your method singer.
Yeah, I'm a method singer.
No breaking character. So we're going to talk about today the first 4 questions that are really framing the conversation we're having around questions for the Believing Skeptic. So before we jump into this week's, here's kind of a general framing narrative. Barry and I, last semester at the Hatchery, got to spend a wonderful time reading Charles Taylor with the students in his book Secular Age, which is looking at the relationship of the concept of religion, its practices, spirituality throughout the history of the West, modernity, and Enlightenment, and how a lot of the accounts early in the Enlightenment of the relationship of religion to culture, to science and things didn't play out. And now we're in this period where a lot of the confident triumph of reason stories about religion aren't working. And then now you're having these explosions of religion and spirituality that don't fit any tight-knit box. And it really is a new situation. We're trying to put words and thoughts to it, as philosophers might be said to do. But then the other side of that conversation is that for most people who even exist with a foot, at least semi-confidently, in a religious tradition, are also being affected and encountered and shaped by the same cultural phenomenon, that you don't have the possibility of existing in a world that's enchanted, that's shaped by one dominant religious narrative. And so even those that are ready to rock and roll for their religious team or tribe do so today in a way that is significantly different than before.
Sure.
And so we started discussing how each person has these questions that you ask as both a believer and a skeptic in different ways at different times in your life. So we thought, let's think of questions, then let's ask them.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we were really trying to get at was to name the kind of new situation that we find ourselves in, and to acknowledge that essentially it's a new situation. That to have even thoughts about faith in the 21st century is to have a set of questions that live in entirely new waters. And part of the discussion, I think, that came out of our exploration of Taylor's book with the students and with our own reading and with conversations with other people about the book was kind of trying to come to terms with that reality, right? To sort of go, let's not pretend that this is a problem, or that this is just something we just need to buck up and get on with it. But there's actually a condition in which religion, spirituality, faith, belief is experienced today. It's a spectrum, but it exists within some parameters, some of which Taylor has attempted to outline. Other people, he's not the only one who've attempted to name the kind of new contexts. So we sort of wanted to start there, and then when we were talking about it afterwards, we kind of, I think, basically went, well, there are two or three or four questions around which we could maybe frame some conversation so that we could locate ourselves. I mean, I've always been it's been ringing in my ear for a long time, Jack Caputo's idea that the sort of atheism debate is almost a bit of a waste of time. Mm-hmm. And then for me, this idea I've been living with for quite some time, that we only do theology when we have to. Mm-hmm. And, we're sort of in this time where doing theology, thinking theologically about life is demanded of the situation, because essentially the old ways just aren't working. And that's not to trash anything. And I think I've had this ongoing conversation, I'm sure you have, with bright young students at seminary who seem to think that trashing the past makes them very contemporary and postmodern. And my argument has always been, no, that just makes you angry and anti-modern. And there's a difference. It's not, I believe in change, but I believe in change when it's demanded, not just for the sake of change. That I think gets into, if you were going to get kind of whimsical or maybe even scriptural, Ooh. That would be where you'd get something, from the scriptures, where it sort of talks about, being blown about by every wind of doctrine and tossed around. I'm not talking about changing your mind because the wind blows some other way. You go, oh, that's cool, let's think about that. I'm talking about taking the situation that we find ourselves in very seriously, acknowledging that it's different, which I know not everybody agrees with, but for us, that's the conversation we're having, and hopefully the people that have signed up for this are thinking the same.
And I think that's even what we're going to discuss today, what time is it?
Yeah.
In hopes it's just, let's attempt to describe it and just name it, because the other questions kind of move towards a more intimate space. Yeah. But what we're not wanting to do is, right, like have 4 sessions where you get done and you're like, that's 4 neat theories of postmodernity or whatever. But to name what time it is, but then explore if we're not going to be antagonistic towards where we are and what time it is, what does it mean to discuss faith and things? So, that's why today is, what time is it? And the other thing to make sure you all remember that in the group itself, in the Facebook group and things, and in reply to the email with links to the videos and stuff, make sure you send questions, ideas, comments, and such. So we'll be collecting them. Then we'll do some Q&A and that type of thing.
And I think I'd also want to say about these kind of shaping questions is, to me, there are different situations require not only different remedies but also different questions. So I think there are timeless questions, questions of ultimate meaning that we ask over and over and over again as human beings. But there are also then the questions of the particular time in which you live, and I think theology is the bringing together of those, if you like, the timeless questions and the timely questions, and try to work out how you form a relationship between those two things, and how your self-understanding is formed by the timeless questions that we ask and answer over and over again as human beings, but then also the particular questions that we ask. And so that's why I think we started to kick this thing off with the question of what time it is, because I think that's a very important locational question that needs to be asked before you can move towards a more intimate understanding of how that plays out, or at least that's what we thought, right?
Yeah, and I think I was remembering a conversation we had with Walter Brueggemann when he was here at the hatchery this summer, and I can't remember exactly what set it off, but at some point, being an old biblical scholar that likes to use emphatic hand motions, he went, "Oh,
yeah.
Well, the questions are different when you're living in exile," and he made this point that a lot of people, what's the Bible say about this or whatever? He's like, well, the Bible has all sorts of answers depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Are you in exile? Are you in bondage? Are you in a castle? Are you in a temple? And so that I think is what we're doing. It's not let's talk about what time it is so that then we can just justify whatever goes. Actually, part of a living faith is recognition with reality. And then one of the challenges, I think, of the church, because it's been so resistant to just acknowledging reality, is it's cultivating all sorts of things that keep people locked in to truth as regime, as opposed to opening up a way of being.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be inclined to say that, for the want of a better argument, it would be more helpful if people exchanged the pursuit of some elusive, overarching truth for a more tangible, expressed understanding of reality. I mean, I know that truth in some ways speaks of reality, but I think if we started talking about reality a little bit more, and laid the truth questions aside for a while until we could locate ourselves, and we go, okay, what's happening in the real world? What's going on in our particular reality? Which is, of course, what Taylor's trying to pick up in his book. He's saying it used to be this way, now it's this way. That was reality then. This is reality now. It's all reality, but there are, different things that emerged. To go back to Walter. I mean, Walter was great in those conversations, because he basically went, I wish I had time to address what basically, I mean, I'm not a kid, but what you kids are trying to explorer. I just can't go there because I've been working my whole life over here. But the fact that he made that statement very publicly about the nature of the different conditions and the questions that arise, I think was really fruitful and really helpful. So what time is it? It's a locational question. Time is not just the chronological time, but the times in which we live, at least for me. And I think that's a beginning question. It's the question that Jesus put to the Pharisees. He said, you can look at the sky and if it's red at night, it's going to be nice tomorrow. And if it's this way, it's going to rain, but you don't understand the signs of the time. So to ask what time is it is to really explore the condition of your current reality, not just the weather structures or the weather systems, but the reality in which you live. And there's always this tendency, I think, in religion to be blinded by your ideological constructs to the point where you lose a sense of time in relation to where you actually live. And I think one of the challenges for me with Christianity in particular is we seem to have been obsessed with the notion that God, however we think of that, is much more concerned with the past than with the present. And as a church, we seem to kind of be locked into the past for answers and the future for results or something. And in the middle, it's like, so what do we do now when all the stuff comes up?
Yeah.
And then everybody's going, well, those past answers, they're giving me anxiety now. I have anxiety. I mean, I meet an awful lot of anxious people of faith, I have to say, troubled by the inconsistency and the trauma, if you like, of the disconnect between what they hold, what they've been told, what they're discovering of the reality of their existence, and how all of that plays out.
Ooh,
man,
you just got teased.
You've wet my whistle.
Yeah.
Whet my appetite.
Yes,
for more.
Oh man,
what time is it, Trip?
Well, you haven't even got to the part where there are segments in this that there are certain things Barry and I have in common and enjoy, and there's certain things that we have like strongly held different convictions and ongoing arguments about, and they all show up in this first episode. At some point, I get a little frustrated and say I need to have a scientific aside for the moment, and I proceed to talk about science, in which he tells us why he quit science very early on and opted for Latin, which there's only a few people in that category. Later in the episode, he proceeds to talk about rhizomic sacramentality. Yeah,
sounds delicious.
I mean, and it is like it was great, and I was like, oh, why have you never talked to me about this before? Like, I like this, and not just because the notion of rhizome, as it's developed out of Deleuze and appropriated, really was intimately connected to his reading of Whitehead. We didn't discuss that part. I slowly have to witness to him about these type of things. Then, you know what the homework is?
What's the homework
for this week? I'm not telling you. It's actually listening to an album straight through.
Ooh.
And it's probably the only album he and I regularly listen to straight through that we hold in common. And it's not August and Everything After by Counting Crows. He said there's at least one song on it he always skips.
At least one.
Though, and the other thing is, we get done, and then I'm like, hold on. I want you to tell me the story about, you and your buddy running sound for Bob Marley and walking in on their Rastafarian pre-soundcheck rituals. And that story in and of itself is worth, hopping on to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
man, I can't believe that he got to.
He didn't want to tell a story. I think I might do this. This is, I know a lot of stories he's told never on a microphone. I'm just going to try to bring them up.
We're going to have a new segment on Theology Nerd Podcast, which is get Barry to say stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the guy has more cool stories in him than, I don't know anyone who has as many cool stories and just never doesn't tell them unless he really has to. And he's horrible at name dropping. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Barry, you should really tell those stories.
I wonder if it's like a British thing, don't make a fuss about it.
Yeah, don't make a fuss. There was just this one time, running sound for Bob Marley, and I was, what? Yeah, well, my friend, he was a sound engineer, and he was actually the guy running sound when they recorded the live album, with No Woman, No Cries on. Really? Yeah. You want to know the story behind the feedback in the guitar? Yes, I want to know that story. Never mind. I'm just going to go. He does with a British accent. So anyway, that's your teaser. And go to homebrewchristianity.com, become yourself an elder or a bishop. And if you saying to yourself, Trip, I've just really been laid on my heart that I want to have my own title. I don't want to be an acolyte, a deacon, a bishop, elder. I want my own title. That is arrangeable, because here at Homebrew Christianity, our love for ecclesiastical hierarchy is I love it all. So if you would like to purchase your title,
name your own title.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I never thought of this, but we recently just had the canon
to the extraordinary added to the Homebrew Christianity community. And I said, why didn't I think of this earlier? I think the only title that can't be purchased is to become a JC. That's earned.
Yeah,
or anointed, perhaps.
Yeah, unless if for some reason we have a fourth kid, because my family's about to have a third kid, and not all the time is family planning successful. But if we have a fourth kid, who knows? I might sell my soul because them junks cost money. Yeah, don't tell them I called them junks. It's a term of endearment from wherever it came, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Got anything else to say?
Go to homebrewchristianity.com, join the community, get access to the class, all other good stuff.
Yeah. And if you are in the class and saying, I thought I was in this and haven't seen it, don't worry. You've been invited to the secret group. Check your spam folder and check the email that you use to join the class.
Absolutely.
Not the one that you just use all the time. Because,
we want you in. We want you to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Fully.
Full participation. It's analogically connected to the incarnation.